Your funnel exists even if you never build one on purpose. Every click, scroll, doubt, and decision pushes a stranger closer to action or quietly sends them away, often within just 5 to 10 seconds. The real question is simple: where does your path break, and why do beginners miss it so consistently in early campaigns? A beginner often celebrates traffic first, then wonders why nothing happens after the visit. That is the first trap. Attention matters, but traffic without direction is like pouring water into a bucket with holes you cannot see yet, even if analytics shows 1,000 visitors. Funnel strategy means designing the path on purpose. You decide what people see first, what they understand next, what proof removes doubt, and what action feels easiest at each stage. Once you see it that way, marketing stops feeling random and starts feeling measurable, testable, and easier to improve. A funnel is the sequence that turns attention into action, step by step. If you sell a product, book calls, collect leads, or grow a newsletter, you are asking people to move through stages. When those stages are unclear, your cost rises, your results wobble, and you end up changing tactics instead of fixing the real bottleneck, which is far more common than most beginners think. Here is the hidden problem. Beginners focus on the top and bottom only. They chase clicks at the top and sales at the bottom, but they ignore the middle where trust forms through examples, answers, and reassurance. That missing middle is where most conversion problems actually live. At the simplest level, most funnels move through 4 jobs: attract attention, build interest, create desire, and prompt action. Different businesses rename these stages, but the logic stays the same because human decision-making still follows a sequence, whether someone is buying software, coaching, or coffee beans. Top of funnel is simply first contact. Someone sees a post, an ad, a video, a search result, or a referral mention. At that moment, they do not need every detail or your full backstory. They need a reason to care enough to take one more step. Middle of funnel is where interest becomes evaluation. Your visitor asks, is this relevant, is this credible, and is this worth my time or money? Landing pages, case studies, lead magnets, emails, and demos usually do their best work right here. Bottom of funnel is decision time. The person is no longer asking what this is. Now they ask whether the offer feels safe, specific, and easy to accept today. Your page structure, pricing clarity, guarantee, and checkout flow suddenly matter much more. A funnel tactic is an ad, a headline, or an email. Funnel strategy is the logic connecting them. Tactics answer what you use. Strategy answers why each element appears when it does and what job it must complete before the next step happens, not just what looks fashionable this month. The first strategic decision is not software. It is audience focus. If your message tries to speak to everyone, it usually lands on no one. Strong funnels narrow the promise so the right person feels instantly recognized and keeps moving forward instead of hesitating or bouncing. A visitor from search behaves differently from a visitor from social. Search traffic often arrives with intent and a problem already in mind. Social traffic often arrives colder and more curious, sometimes only mildly interested. Your funnel works better when the page matches that starting mindset. A landing page is not your entire business squeezed into one screen. Its job is narrower. It should continue the promise that brought the click, explain the value clearly, and point toward one next action without unnecessary detours, navigation clutter, or competing links. If people cannot tell what you do, who it helps, and what happens next within a few seconds, usually under 7, the funnel starts leaking before trust even has a chance to form. Beginners often write headlines that sound polished but say very little. A useful headline names the audience, problem, result, or time frame. It trades cleverness for clarity because the visitor is scanning for relevance, not admiring your wordplay or your branding vocabulary. A feature tells people what something has. An offer tells people why accepting now is worthwhile. That can include the outcome, the format, the bonus, the risk reversal, or the speed to value. Funnels convert when the offer feels concrete, compelling, and easy to compare against alternatives. When you ask for an email or a purchase, you are asking for trust. Proof supplies that trust. Testimonials, before and after examples, case studies, client logos, and believable numbers reduce uncertainty. They answer the question a silent visitor never types, like, does this work for someone like me? Imagine 100 visitors hit your page and 2 convert. That is a 2% conversion rate. If better messaging lifts that to 3%, you do not gain a tiny improvement. You gain 50% more results from the same traffic, budget, and creative effort. Not everyone is ready on the first visit, which is why email matters. Email extends the conversation after the click. It lets you educate, handle objections, share proof, and bring people back later instead of losing them the moment they leave the page, which happens constantly on mobile. A lead magnet works when it solves a small urgent problem, not when it dumps generic information into a PDF. Checklists, templates, calculators, and short guides perform better when the value is immediate, narrow, and clearly connected to the paid offer that follows. Your visitor keeps asking 3 things, even if they never say them out loud. What is this? Why should I care? What should I do next? A good funnel answers those questions in that order, quickly and without making the person work hard for clarity or certainty. One of the easiest beginner mistakes is offering too many next steps. Read this, watch that, compare plans, browse the blog, maybe book a call. More options feel helpful, but they often lower action because the decision becomes heavier, not easier, especially for colder traffic. This is where the earlier open question gets answered. A funnel breaks in specific places, and metrics help you find them. Low click-through rate points to weak messaging. Strong clicks but weak conversion points to the page. Good leads but poor sales points deeper, often to offer fit or follow-up. Cost per acquisition, often shortened to CPA, means how much you spend to gain 1 customer or 1 lead. It matters because a funnel can look busy and still be unprofitable. Efficiency matters as much as volume once real money is involved, especially at smaller margins. Now for the twist. People do not move through funnels like obedient dots on a diagram. They click, leave, compare alternatives, read reviews, open your email later, and return through a different device. Strategy still matters, but reality is messier than the map, sometimes over days or weeks. Because the path is messy, consistency becomes a competitive advantage. Your ad promise, landing page language, email tone, and offer framing should feel connected. When each step sounds like a different company, trust resets and friction quietly rises again, even if the design still looks polished. Another counterintuitive insight is that more funnel steps are not always better. A beginner often adds quizzes, webinars, tripwires, retargeting layers, and complex automation before the basic message works. Complexity can amplify confusion faster than it creates leverage, which is the opposite of what they expect. A simple funnel often wins early because it is easier to understand, easier to measure, and easier to improve. A complex funnel only helps once you know the core offer, audience, and message already convert in a basic form with reliable consistency. For most beginners, a minimum viable funnel is enough: 1 traffic source, 1 landing page, 1 lead magnet or offer, 1 email follow-up sequence, and 1 clear call to action. You can learn a surprising amount from that simple system in the first 30 days. If you want practical next steps, do 3 things first. Define 1 audience clearly. Write 1 sharp promise they care about. Build 1 page with 1 action. Those 3 choices remove more confusion than most tool upgrades ever will, especially in an early-stage business. After launch, watch a few useful signals instead of drowning in dashboards. Track click-through rate, page conversion rate, lead quality, and eventual sales. Those numbers tell a story about message fit, page clarity, and whether your funnel creates the right kind of demand over time. Do not rewrite everything at once. If people are not clicking, test the hook. If they click but do not convert, test the page. If they opt in but never buy, test the offer or the follow-up. Isolate the bottleneck before changing the system, or your data gets muddy fast. Keep building smarter, one clearer step at a time.